What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Gatales. And have you observed that there is truly a rise of the divine feminine? It's showing up in books. It's showing up in leaders. The president of Mexico is a very incredible woman who's doing a great job there. And it shows up in so many different ways. And gosh knows, after thousands of years of male paradigm domination, and we men have not done a very good job, have we? So it's time to turn it over to the women. Now, we've been saying this for many, many years on the show, and we've talked about it when we've had people like Marianne Williamson on the show. Turn it over to the women. And I want to acknowledge that the majority of our viewers are female gendered. And for the men gendered, we definitely have a beautiful feminine side that we've developed and cultivated. For tonight's show, I wanted to have a deeper conversation about what does it really mean to embody the divine feminine. And so, of course, I had to have Eden Amadora as my co-host because she's such an exquisite embodiment. And we invited two of her colleagues that have been on the show before that we both have tremendous respect for, Marguerite Riglioso and Aline Doty, also known as Kalila. And so tonight's going to be a conversation about what does it mean, and really we're going to learn more about each of these ladies' journey. They've studied for decades, many different spiritual traditions, but how have they taken those tools, what they've learned, and applied it in a practical way in this 3D crazy world. And I know all three of you have one foot definitely in the next world, but what does it really mean? So it's going to be a beautiful conversation. We certainly want to include our audience, and representing the divine masculine, our beloved Omashar is with us. And as always, we're going to kick off with an Omashar song.
So namaste and welcome everybody, and greetings to those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube. We love you and we feel you out there. And of course the replays which go on forever. This song is called Beloved, and the beloved is the beloved within us, the beloved divine feminine, of course, perfectly balanced with the beloved divine masculine. And so what a good way to start the show. was remembering a time far away from here. When I saw you in my mind, and no one that I talked to could hear you, I'd say we're more than we think, we're more than we feel, we're more than we know. Hear me. I feel your heartbeat in the land, your breath upon the wind, and you touch me in those places that I fear. I hear you running through my veins, laughing as you go. You fill me with your life, you fill me with your love, you lift me up to see your face. Beloved, deep inside, beloved, I can no more from your sight, from your might, though I might wait a while and cry for all those yesterdays that passed away like the clouds that made me what I am today. Deep inside, beloved, I can no more hide.
Gonna go to gallery review and let's all send some love and some twinkles to our beloved Omar Shah. What a perfect song. And you're adding more and more. I'm hearing more and more like backgrounds and extra tracking happening.
Yeah, maybe not on this song. It's I think I'm getting you have to really transliterate all this amazing technology I have so it can be squeezed out of tiny computer speakers, and so I'm getting it better at mixing it so people can actually hear it when they're listening through computer speakers rather than a full-blown sound system. So, and probably as we open more, we hear more, right, Scott?
Oh, absolutely. My gosh. But beautiful. Thank you, Omar Shah. Thank you so much. I'm going to read some of the comments that have come in about the Divine Feminine. I'm going to bring Eden up to get her thoughts as well. But thank you. There's already some beautiful, beautiful comments that have come in. We'll start with Connie and Andrew. And Connie writes, the Divine Feminine is coming forth into the hearts of all people. I'm looking forward to the masculine and feminine coming into balance as we all shift frequencies into a higher vibration aligned with universal law and heart. It's not about which gender we have incarnated into. I'm balanced more to the masculine, and my husband Andrew is balanced more to the feminine, in that he is more intuitive than I am, more in touch with his body. That's a beautiful first one.
Yeah,
Dia
it's so
Therese,
powerful.
Dia Therese writes, divine feminine, the embodiment is that which Yeshua and Mary Magdalene took human form to demonstrate the freedom from humankind's present self-imposed limitations in understanding the heart's capacity for love. Janet Catalina writes, the divine feminine is the divinity within each of us, the beautiful, loving part of ourselves that holds the wisdom and the beauty. Susan Blomquist writes, for me to embody the divine feminine, I accept our feminine strengths and the way our bodies work as divine. The masculine dominant feminine paradigm as success is not healthy, nor does it encourage women to support each other in our ways. And Dr. Laura says, I love these three ladies. Yay to their embodiment of the divine feminine. And I'm going to read just a couple more and then turn over to you, Eden. Scotty Satori writes, I love the rise of the divine feminine. It's time more than ever. That was my ultimate wish for my daughter, to know that she has this power. Thank you. Thank you, Scotty.
So beautiful. Yes, we all have this power. And, you know, I love all the comments, and when I'm taking it in, what I recognize is that we've been living in a paradigm that has really inverted and distorted power to mean power over. And feminine power is empowerment, empowering and inclusive. It's the power of love. So as I read the comments, I'm like, we're all in this awakening world as embodiments of divine feminine power as love. We are all that, not just Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. We are that. And I feel like by claiming that divine birthright of our own, some people call it Christ consciousness, some people just call it unity consciousness, or the power of an open heart, living like Desiree's background with your heart aflame, in love, for love, as love. This is neither masculine nor feminine. This is love and divine. What I want to illuminate is that I feel like the reason the divine feminine rising is so important is the rebalancing. We've been living in such a distorted paradigm. So we are only now really starting to see it become something that's rippling through the collective. Like Scott said, it's coming out in books, it's coming out in songs. We have pop artists, Doja Cat. I just got a little snippet on a reel before I got on this call where a mainstream rapper is talking about the divine feminine in her rap. And I'm like, oh yes, it is happening. And what is happening is the illumination that brings us into right balance and harmony between the feminine and the masculine, within and without, in our world. So I'm so thrilled to be here with Marguerite, with Elaine Kalila Dowdy, because these are leaders and teachers, mystery school founders that are bringing the divine feminine principles out in a very powerful way that is teaching women how to embody her love in action, in service. And one of the most beautiful principles I've learned through my own journey with the divine feminine archetypes and mystery school training is that the divine feminine loves us shadow and light. She is the great mother principle, the unconditional embrace, and she's here to love us back into the remembrance of our wholeness. And once we recognize wholeness, we're no longer at the effect of media, advertising, political insanity telling us we're less than whole, than divine. And when we're entrained after thousands of years to believe that something's wrong with us because of the distorted patriarchal system, we're easy to control. We're easy to take orders from an authority figure outside of us. And bless all of our innocent hearts over the last 1,000 years of programming, that we would believe that the divine is somewhere up there, out there, disconnected and punishing us, judging us. Bless our hearts, and may we forgive ourselves that we forgot that our indigenous ancestors all knew and remember the divine is everywhere, and that includes within us. We are that. We are part, interconnected. So that is the mother saying, remember, 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 to me. And I would love to deepen with any of the guest questions, with any of anything that you're aware of, Scott or Kalila or Marguerite, because it's such an important conversation to dive deeper into this love and this remembrance together.
Yeah, so well, let's bring up Marguerite first. And Eden, would you be willing to introduce her kind of more based on your direct experience working with her?
Yeah, so I have had the honor of being with Marguerite on the show, and we came on with the launch of your Mother Mary book. I believe that we did a very focused show around Immaculate Conception and the miracle of that lineage of priestesses. And Marguerite has a Seven Sisters Mystery School, which is very much connected to the Divine Feminine Mysteries, as well as the Pleiadian Star Sisters Mysteries, which I know there's such a connection of remembrance of those origins. And Marguerite is a multi-book author. I wish I had memorized all your books in the back of my mind. I don't know all the titles off the...
Don't worry about it.
I'm just thrilled that you're here. I know that you've written extensively on Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, and that you are in communion with the Holy Family, with these ascended masters, and that you are here to lift the veils on the illusion of separation that we've been programmed with. So I'm just thrilled that you're here tonight.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Scott and Eden. It's always a blessing to come into this conversation, and I have my gallery view on so that I can see everybody who's unveiled. So, I feel like I'm more in a group setting with all of you.
Marguerite, I'd love to ask you the big question. What is, for you personally, the embodiment of the Divine Feminine mean? And what has been your journey to get to that place and to maintain it in the midst of some of the crazy 3D reality going on?
Yeah. For me, being, embodying the Divine Feminine has really been more of the mother bear kind of fierce energy, right? I just, for decades, I just think I also came into this life with a mission, an agreement to bring forth the feminine. And so that has taken a bit of chutzpah. Uh, I have not been one of the shrinking violet type feminine people. It's more been, the fierce, maybe Kali energy, even though I don't necessarily identify with Kali per se, but yeah, just to come in in our generation, when we have, it's meant having the power to drive something forward, to drive messages forward. And so for me, that really started in college, and it certainly accelerated in graduate school when I went to the California Institute of Integral Studies. And I've been something of a warrior, a female warrior, an Amazon, if you will. So I kind of started out as an Amazon, but over the years, I have understood that it's okay to put the swords down and the shields down, and to come more into that receptive energy, the softer energy, the energy that doesn't have to fight, and also the energy that is very much embracing of the masculine. Okay, because when I started, I was a very, very piquant feminist, let's say, right? From even 10 years old when Gloria Steinem was coming into her heyday and whatnot. So, I kind of bought into all that, we need to wear the power suit, the power mantle, this, that, and the other thing. But over time, I've realized no, as a lot of the guests are saying, this really is about a unification, a coming together of masculine and feminine, each one making room because the problem isn't men and the problem isn't women. There are larger issues and problems that are underneath everything. So for me, it's really just been coming into, and especially recently as my body's been talking to me, it's like I can't be driving the way that I have over the past 2 and 3 decades. My body's like, no, 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 my dear. You've got to rest. You've got to work less hard. You've got to enjoy life. So these are just some of the many ways in which I've gone through a journey with the feminine and embodying it in my life. It's changing all the time.
I'm curious. I know that you're not alone in that journey of having to listen to the body and to change how we love ourselves. I'm wondering if there was a specific initiation on your path that you really cracked open, like if there was something of a mystical nature or a dark night of the soul, something that really brought you more into that, like I am a devoted daughter in service to the mother. Like what was that moment for you?
Well, I've spoken about this before, but really the first major shock in that regard was the death of my mother when I was 10 years old, right? And unbeknownst to me, that was an initiation into the sacred feminine. And it took me years to figure out, and study and so forth to figure out that was the case. Because being separated from my mother, I went into the great uh, legacy of Demeter and Persephone, right? The mother-daughter goddesses who get separated from one another. And I was sort of a living example of the person who is cut off from mother, which is all of us, right? So I had it in a very, very acute way in my life. And so it's been a kind of a climbing out ever since and an understanding what that initiation has been. And there have been numerous dark nights of the soul throughout time as I grappled with all of the trauma that came along with that, step family trauma, being in a patriarchal society. So there were, numerous types of initiations, but I was lucky to be spending some time in the Boston area where there was a women's spirituality program at that time. And that's when I really started busting open into the understanding of the sacred feminine as a personal path, an emotional path, a spiritual path. And that was probably, more than 30 years ago now. Um, and so I'm so grateful for those pioneer women who are bringing forth this understanding, the Starhawks of the world, Vicky Nobles of the world, these great women who, broke the veil for us.
Yeah, for me, it's Ariel Spilsbury, who is
Yeah.
that way shower, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I count her as one of them as well. Yes, for sure.
I want to ask you, I know that later we're gonna show your site, and because of my own kind of mystical experiences with our star kindreds, what is the connection for you between the divine feminine and the Pleiadian codes or energies that you're tapped into? Because I know
Yeah.
your mystery school is the Seven Sisters, which I
Yeah.
assume is the Pleiades.
Yeah, exactly. I started, of course, I was born on 7/7. I went to a Seven Sisters school. So all of these things are these little synchronicities that you look back at and you go, oh my God, those were little codings that I gave myself for my own remembering. And then I became very intrigued by various Pleiadian channelers 20 and 25 years ago. Um, and so that just unlocked, awakened a remembrance in me. And I've come to understand, as I go into the higher and higher eagle view of everything, I realize that the Pleiades are the thread that runs through so many cultures that in which I have past lives and about which I've written and studied, Greece, various Native Americans, and then come to find out that really the Marys are part of the Pleiadian lineage as well. That's been my most recent uncovering.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So they're they're all part of the same mission, which is to uplift humanity and to reinfuse us with that sacred feminine current that really has never gone away, but has been a bit shrouded because of the action of various other star systems who've been active on this planet.
Yeah, I would say very shrouded for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Think of the Dark Ages and just the horror and violence that we're only, I mean, we're still in this dark age of war. The fact that it's been normalized on this planet, it's
Yeah.
just insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, the Pleiades, and especially the seven sisters of the Pleiades, who are the seven starseed mothers of our world, are very oriented toward the sacred feminine. And so they are trying to get our attention through ethical means to awaken us, allowing us to have free will, but speaking to us through our dreams, through our intuitions, through our insights, our gut feelings. That's kind of how I had this awakening to the Pleiadian mothers.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to reading about the connection between Mother Mary and Magdalene and that lineage and the Pleiades. Is that something you're planning to deepen with in a book or?
Potentially, potentially. How I'm mainly doing it right now is through Seven Sisters Mystery School and through the Inner Sanctum Temple, which, we'll talk about a little bit later. But that's my repository for my latest teachings. Um, yeah, and also the Mary and Magdalene priestess training. I know you and Elaine are involved in your own priestess training as well. In mine, we have a very large, strong Pleiadian component to help people understand, make all these connections to the stars. Nothing is separated. There's no paganism in Christianity. It's all one thing, and it's all Pleiadian. So that's what I'm all about these days. But undoubtedly, there will be more writing coming up for sure.
Wonderful, Marguerite. I look forward to speaking more soon. Scott, do you have a deepening or a question for?
Yeah, well, I'm fascinated. I've always related to the Pleiades. When I look at the sky, I always see the Pleiades first. When I've done mystical moments, it's like, oh yeah, I'm from the Pleiades. So we're gonna have to do a show just on the Pleiades. Like there's definitely something that I would love for us to do.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
you speak for
absolutely.
me as well, definitely. I had a visitation when I was 17 in Martinique with a Pleiadian. So I would love to do a show on this.
And Eden, you are a Pleiadian. I mean,
Totally, look at her.
come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scotty's like, I'm in. Let's do the Pleiadian.
Yeah.
Well, Marguerite's going to stay for our conversation, but I do want to take a moment to go to her website. And it's Seven Sisters Mystery School.com. Seven Sisters, and seven, by the way, is written out, seven, SEVEN, Sisters Mystery School.com. And there's all sorts of wonderful things that you can learn all about what she's doing. But tonight, I'd like to learn more about the Inner Sanctum Temple. Tell us a little bit about that, and I'll click the link to see what we see when we go there.
Yes, absolutely. So that is how I am delivering most of my teachings and experiences now, and it's through a monthly experience. So we have teaching calls and oracle calls where I'm serving as the oracle, or I've received oracle information and I'm sharing that as teachings. We have Mary and Magdalene sacred circles together, where then they help us go through some of the learnings in an experiential way. We have a spiritual council and communion live call where I and another sacred sister who's been trained provide one-on-one guidance. So this is the cutting edge of how I'm teaching these days. I also welcome in feedback and suggestions from people as to what you would like to see taught, what you would like to experience. And then you also receive almost the full library of all of the courses and many of the masterclass videos that I've done going back now 13 and 14 years. So it's really very much a robust experience.
Wow.
There's a question from Susan Bloomquist. Can you please explain mystery school? I know it's kind of for both of
Right.
you, you've been
You
doing it
know,
for so long, but for us newbies,
I think it's one of those things where when you hear it, something tingles inside of you and you kind of know already what it is. But just to give a little language to it, it refers to the ancient processes that humanity has gone through, the ancient schools and cohorts and groups where people would experience the connection with the divine and a series of learnings by learning intellectually, but then having experiences where you would know the divine. And oftentimes they couldn't be explained, they couldn't be spoken about because it was just something you had to experience on the fifth, sixth, seventh, and higher dimensional levels. But this is a venerable tradition that has gone through certainly, the ancient Mediterranean world, the Egyptian world, and beyond. And so I more hold it in a kind of intuitive way, just a place where I can help people be stimulated to have their own knowing, to have their own, oracle connection cracked open, to have validated what they already know, and to bring in some new pieces for themselves.
So beautiful, Marguerite. I love that. And I think that's a really big distinction between kind of an academic, intellectual program, like a master's program at a normal university, compared to a mystery school, where we're being invited to have a direct embodied experience and to cultivate gnosis, our own inner knowing and remembrance.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating that the word priestess is so, up until pretty recently, like, what does that mean? And though priest is so normalized, right? And here we are, modern day priestesses. That being said, that was the majority of the intermediaries or the emissaries of the temples that would bring people through those initiations were priestesses and
Right.
priests in ancient Egypt. And mystery schools were very, very long journeys of initiation for people back in the day, years,
Yeah.
years.
And they had a lot to do with sacred medicine ingestion, which the women were the preparers of. And that's where we have also the tradition of the Miraphors, the Marys, who were creating these compounds that were inhaled, that were ingested, that were topically applied, often that would have a mind expanding component so that you could have that mystery school experience, that inner gnosis, as you were saying.
Powerful. I know that's just kind of being unveiled. And I remember hearing that the original translator of the Dead Sea Scrolls brought that awareness of the sacrament that they were imbibing to the church not that long ago, and it was completely suppressed and denied and hidden from the population.
Yeah, yeah, because what is the communion but taking in something that then is going to have the whole group go into an experience like an ayahuasca or a mushroom or something of that nature. And William Henry says that Jesus's blood literally would go into that cocktail.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
because it would have codes for the
Mm.
people. He was a very high level being who could go between the dimensions and so that's a fascinating
Yeah.
idea.
I think it's important to say that modern day mystery schools do not require you to ingest psychotropic substances, and
Right.
that many ways to expand our consciousness and open the portals in grace without needing to
Yeah,
imbibe
because
any.
ultimately that's how we want to be walking around 24/7. So whether it's through meditation, deep breathing, dream work, other kinds of trance induction, spinning, dancing, right? Fasting. There are many methods by which people have been able to cross the veil.
Absolutely. In the 13 Moon Mystery School, we sit in open-eyed meditation. It's called empty presence, and we part the veils by holding a really coherent field for a significant amount of time. And people that have come, new initiates, have told me, I felt like I was on ayahuasca
Yeah.
again. It's like it reactivated the pineal gland, and I started to see beyond the veil. So it's a coherent field, a very alchemical container, a strong intention, and you can journey.
Yeah, the plants are just stepping stones, or can be, and teachers to, again, what we want is our Lemurian consciousness back. Right?
Pleiadian, Lemurian, and
Yeah.
early Atlantean before the
That's
fall.
right, early Atlantean.
I want to bring 𝐿'𝐿 up because she's been patiently waiting. And Marguerite, we're going to bring you back in a little bit for our Q&A. It's always so much wisdom, and I have such respect for you. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Marguerite.
I'm excited about our Pleiadian show, so we'll schedule that.
Yay. I want to just read a couple comments as 𝐿'𝐿 is coming in. Susan says these descriptions validate the human experience. A lot of us have had mystical experiences and seen beyond the veil, and we're not crazy. There's a funny way the Western world might say, your mysticism is psychosis. It's not. Other cultures know very well. And yeah, Dr. Laura is just saying churches would definitely recoil about hosting plant medicine ceremonies in their prim proper institutions. We've been lied to for a long time about the power of our own kundalini, our own awakening currents, right? The dragon and the serpent have been vilified for millennia. So I know 𝐿'𝐿 speaks very, very much on this lifting of the veil and how it is time. And Carol says, I feel like that when I chant, just honoring that we've had so many experiences in this collective. So many of us have come to inner knowing. Welcome, 𝐿'𝐿, my love. I want to introduce you. So Elaine 𝐿'𝐿 Doughty, who I call 𝐿'𝐿, my beloved sister, is one of my closest, deep, deep heart friends in the world. She is my original mentor and initiator in the 13 Moon Mystery School. I found her 17 years ago. And when I sat in what I described before as empty presence with her, I started to remember. I started to have visions and tears of remembrance because of the field she carries, because of her immense heart, the unconditional love that she transmits, and the safety that she creates in her spaces and her temples, her embrace. So when I first thought, oh, I'm going to try this goddess circle, little did I know it was much, much more than that. It turned out to be calling me deeper and deeper by her side to then apprentice with her and co-facilitate with her. And now I am just so thrilled. She has created her own amazing mystery school, which is actually 2 mystery schools in one, because her own journey of awakening and remembering brought her deep into the heart of the anointing path, the path of Mary Magdalene, the path of the Miraphors. And she, with our beloved elder, another fairy goddess mother, Diana Dubrow, the Emerald Temple originator and scent priestess, 𝐿'𝐿 created the Rosa Mystica Mystery School that now flows right alongside in its own beautiful offering with the 13 Moon Mystery School in the Enter the Mystery program that she holds. So 𝐿'𝐿, I am thrilled to have you here and to be able to hear your voice tonight.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. And I'm just, wow, there's so much already moving in the space of what we've been talking about. Where would you like me to go? I'll let you.
I think that because you are such a leader, I mean, I've been with you for almost 20 years, watching you withstand the slings and arrows of projections and the old paradigm trying to knock you down. You were a pioneer in the online world of the priestess path. I mean, I'm like sweating and have shivers as I remember everything you withstood.
Oof.
I want to hear about your, like, you have such devotion. I want to hear about the initiations that, you know, brought you to your knees, and then the way you
Yeah.
came rising from the ashes. And
Well, I think the truth is we've been using this word priestess, right? And nowadays, I think, you know, it's become a word that's much more normalized. It's certainly in our communities, but even in the world at large, I think that there's a notion of the divine feminine, a notion of female spiritual authority or leadership that is beginning to peek its head out of the underworld where it's been in exile for the last few thousand years. But what's real and true is that, and Marguerite named this, we're really standing on the shoulders of the women who came before us, the Vicky Nobles, the Starholts, the Gloria Steinems, the women who really were the first ones to sort of bring about this deep research into goddess culture and into this matrilineal societies and matriarchal societies that span back 30,000 years BCE, you know, before Christ. And that's just the known history or her story that we have. Who knows how much further back it really goes. But what happened for me is that 12, 13 years ago, I was nudged to bring the work that I'd been doing somewhat secretly in my living room, my temples, right? I've been doing these in-person temples in one part of my life. And then the other part of my life, I had a very respectable psychotherapeutic practice. And I was a therapist and a trauma specialist. And I traveled all over the world teaching and training people. And I had these kind of two separate lives. And there was a point at which where I was nudged very, very directly by the mother. And it happened after a deep life initiation, which was I got pregnant at the age of 46. And then I had a miscarriage at about 15 weeks into the pregnancy. And what happened from that initiatory experience was it woke me up to something that up until that moment had been really buried. And what it woke me up to was that if I wasn't going to be a birth mother to a child this lifetime, then what was I going to be birthing? Because I knew that something had to come through. And what came through was the Priestess Presence Temple and School of the Sacred Arts. Now, what I didn't know at that time was what it would grow into. I had absolutely no idea that I was standing alongside so many others, including yourself and Marguerite and a lot of other women. We were kind of standing on the crest of a wave that was just about to kind of like crash into our consciousness around the rising of what I call the Magdalene consciousness, the collective Magdalene consciousness, the awakening of the collective avatar of the divine feminine rising back up through us. This word priestess was seminal because when I first stepped out into the world, I heard very clearly, you are to call this priestess presence. You are presencing the priestesses. I fought, really fought mother on this one. I was like, I will call it anything but priestess. Give me another word. I do not want to call it priestess. People will think I've lost my mind. They'll think I've fallen off the edge of woo-woo. She's moved to California. She's lost her God-loving mind. And they will never take me seriously again, right? This was my projection, my internalized patriarchal oppression. And I was terrified, Eden. And the truth is that when I did step out, finally, I had to do it because it was clear that that was the missive, right? That was the message. That was my mission. I did receive a lot of protection.
I remember you got whacked pretty hard.
I got whacked a lot over a number of years in a lot of different ways. And each time that I got whacked, I understood it as being an initiation to come deeper, to actually stand taller, because this is part of the mission that I know I'm here for. And I know it's similar to probably many of us who are here, which is this, is I am here to bring back the nobility and the reverence, the respect for the divine feminine. I am here to stand as an embodiment of that. We talked about what does it mean to embody. For me, what it means is to embody that, is to stand in the public eye, which I have not wanted to do, but I really have been called to do, receive the initiation, and actually lean into who do I choose to be in the face of this challenge? Who do I choose to be right now? Because if I'm really choosing to walk alongside my beloved teachers, Magdalene, as being my primary energetic teacher, then am I really going to be called to the way of love? And what does that look like in practice? And what it looks like in practice is being initiated and being seen publicly to be initiated and, you know, roasted and pulled down and projected on and accused of all kinds of different things. And it means choosing to keep showing back up and bowing to the initiation and being present to the shadow and the work of whatever it is that needs to be transmuted so that I can come back to a place of love.
Oh, bless you. I just want to bow to the immense courage that it's taken and that it continues to take to rise into that much visibility and leadership in love.
Right.
And it's amazing. You're getting lots of blessings and hands at your back. Yes. Thank you, Elaine, for staying the course of truth. This is a description of the divine feminine. Even woo-woo is true. It's like, yes, it takes a lot of courage to be authentic at this time. It takes a lot of bravery to remain committed to love. And Christy Michael says, love you all for your dedication. To be seen and like, to risk being cast into shadows like Magdalene was. I know that it wasn't till like 300 years after her life that she was denigrated into this lowly position of a prostitute by Pope Gregory the Great, that combined 3 different biblical Marys and created this lesser character that had no power, that had no wisdom, that had no leadership. When now we're revealing the truth about how she stood side by side in the Coptic word that was found in the Gospels of Magdalene, as you know, as the quinona or partner, companion of Yeshua. So what else would you say about, as Mary Magdalene is your primary, it's like the ascended master being that's your guiding light. What have you learned from her? I hear never give up and walk through the initiations. What else is really like alive in your heart that you want to illuminate for the collective as part of her divine feminine wisdom and coding that you're carrying now?
There's so much, but what I will say is this, is that I perceive, when I talk about, Mary Magdalene, the woman, and then the Mary Magdalene, the archetypal consciousness, right? Those two, I want to make a distinction there because the consciousness is what I perceive to be living through every single one of us. That is what's rising. That is her as a collective seed that was seeded so many hundreds of years ago, that we are eventuating. We are the daughters of that seed, the brothers of that seed. So I want to make that really clear. And how do we recognize that energy? Well, what I've come to recognize is this, and this is kind of funny, but Magdalene's a kind of what I would call a bossy broad. Like, she is not a wilting little flower. She is not who she was made out to be. She's actually the badass woman of the whole last 2,000 years. Like, she's really the star of the show, and she's just now coming center stage, and we're only just now getting to put the spotlight on her. And Yeshua is back there clapping his hands going, finally, please let my bride step forward and let her talk to you, because she's the embodiment of everything that he's been talking about. Like, he's over there doing the logos, talking, getting the downloads. She's the one living it. So what is she? She is the guide for us to freaking live this now. And yes, we're living in the darkest of times. And yes, we're in the dark night of the freaking soul. And yes, it's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. I hate to say it, but I think that's what's true. And I think we can all see it. And I don't think there's a mistake that we're here on No King's Day. Hello. Let us eradicate the hierarchical ideal of the king and queen, and let's bring back the nobility of the heart. This is the concept that I've been sitting with all week. And it's funny you should ask me, Eden. There's a French word which says which goes like this. It's noblesse oblige. And it actually translates to the obligation of the nobility. But that's not really what it means. What it means is that those of us who have the privilege of awakening, those of us who have the privilege of the education that we have received, those of us who have the privilege of the gifts and talents that we all have to offer the world, must do so out of a heart of devotion, that we become the remembrance of everybody else so they can wake up in our presence. Not because we are better than, the nobility is not better than. It's because we are charged with that mission. That is the Magdalene consciousness. She is saying, I am a watchtower woman. I am igniting the light in you, and you now must transfer that light out into the world. You must become the blazing light of remembrance, that the darkness becomes enlightened from within each and every one of us. And that, for me, is who she is. And the embodiment of that takes a tremendous amount of courage, heart, but it also takes some humor, and it also takes some humility, and it also takes being willing to make mistakes and be freaking imperfect. That was her path. She doesn't want us to be perfect. She wants us to be imperfectly beautiful and love ourselves anyway. And in that love, everything else is transmuted. That's where the divine becomes apparent to us. It's when we choose to love anyway. That's when we have the hookup between the beloved and the human, and we give birth to the anthropos within us. That's what the game's about. That's the game we're playing right now. And if you incarnated right now, that is the only game in town.
Your passion is so palpable. We have lots of comments flooding in. You are activating and inspiring people. And for everybody catching on YouTube and Facebook, it'd be great if we could go read those comments too, because I know this is catalyzing.
Catalyzing me.
Only game in town. Yes, sister. The more you are given, the more you shall give. Mark Danivsovsky, sorry if I mispronounced your name. I think we're blessed to be experiencing one of the archetypal divine feminine incarnations in the form of Greta Thunberg. Every time she speaks, I feel she's holding divine perfection into undeniable direct consciousness. Shoshana says, love your energy, Elaine. Thank you for all being here, sharing about the sacred feminine. Connie, yes, the nobility of the heart. All of creation is awaiting the opening of the human heart. Remember, it's a holographic universe. Everything we do, say, think, and feel affects all that is. So beautifully expressed, Elaine. Yes, George Noble says, I just learned earlier today that our Earth is in the process of becoming a star. Wow, that means we're going to have to evolve out of carbon into something else, something like light beings. Yes.
Totally.
So many comments. Christy Michaels, I hear you, Elaine. And some of your sisters march the No Kings dressed as handmaidens with their mouths covered and protest of the suppression. Susan, the nobility of the heart within the privilege of awakening in devotion, igniting the light into the world. The lamp lifters, the way showers, the watchtowers are here. Susan Bloomquist says, we have the ability, and so shall we be the light for all our sisters and our brothers and all the children to come. Christy Michael says she models such embodied Sophia wisdom. Magdalene and Elaine Kalila does. Yeah. Love it. Live it. Yes, yes. We have a question up here. Dr. Laura asks, was Mary Magdalene honored by the Cathars? We know she was a Miraphor and an Essene, and that the lineage fled to France, that she hid in France. And I would love you to speak a little bit about the Cathars. We know that the Holy Roman Empire just completely wiped them out to probably hide the truth of this way of love lineage. So what would you say about that?
From my perspective and what I've studied, and I'd love, Marguerite, for you to come in on this, because I know that you've done a lot of work on this too. And I know in my blood, breath, and bones that that is exactly what the Cathars were taking with the teachings of Mary Magdalene that she brought with her when she fled. And she came in the rudderless boat right across the sea and landed at Marie-Saint-Lemaire and brought those teachings into France. Now, far from hiding in a cave and becoming the hairy woman, I do not believe that she did that at all. I believe that she was out evangelizing and out passing this message into the world. And I think the Cathars were, yes, absolutely the direct lineage bearers of her teachings. And that's why they were so hunted. That's why they were eradicated by the Roman Empire, because they were carrying the seeds of those teachings that the Romans had already been, hip to when they crucified Jesus. And they were like, oh, hell no, we're not letting that whole seed of love. No, we're here to disrupt that. We have an agenda, right? We have this patriarchal agenda, and we're going to keep pushing that. So I absolutely believe that. And for anybody who's had the great gift of going to the south of France and touching into those relics and those sacred sites, you know it, you can feel it. It's encoded everywhere, in the churches, in the artwork, in the language, in the people, in the very fabric of the earth itself. You can feel that there's a legacy there. So that's my very personal response to that. And I know you've been there too, Eden. So
yeah, I wanted to say that when I was in the cave, I first of all was pretty disturbed by the fact that on the way walking up to the cave, there's all the iconography of, beloved Yeshua on his murder device, which it just not being raised Catholic or Christian,
right.
Not make sense of how that iconography is supposed to inspire us to be like that or live love if that happened to him.
It's not, it's meant to terrify us.
Yes. And then there's this little area with all these headless female saints. They've been decapitated right there. And you just feel the heaviness and the oppression of the patriarchy. And you go into this dripping dark cave, and it's kind of spooky and it's kind of cool and beautiful. But it was inside a back room, an abandoned room in this wreck of an old Dominican church that I saw one image painted that was the 𝐓𝐾𝐒 Pisces. It was the mandorla shape of the 𝐓𝐾𝐒 Pisces. And it had some kind of chalice or vase in it and a star, a set pointed star above it. And for me, that was the hidden relic of a code that was true in that whole area there. And when I walked down the mountain, I found the sacred spring, and I felt her spirit more alive in the forest and in that sacred spring than anywhere near that Dominican church up there, personally.
Yeah. Wow. I see Marguerite's on the screen with us. Is there something you want to do, sweetheart?
Well, with the 7-pointed star, there we have the
Pleiades again.
Conscious or hidden. What's that?
The Pleiades yet again.
A connection to the Pleiades. And what I received from Mother Mary, I went to this replica of St. Peter's that's in Montreal, and I just felt so cold in there. And I said, Mother Mary, what's up? And she's like, I don't dwell in cathedrals. She said, I dwell in the land.
Yeah.
I dwell in the well that the cathedral was put over, etc., that might have brackish water now, But, what I've received on esoteric levels is that these women, when they walked the earth and when they went to these places, because they were such adepts at raising their light body frequency, everywhere they would step, they would encode the light body into the earth. And so I think that, Eden and Elaine, is what we all pick up on when we go to these magical places where Magdalene has tread and others.
Yeah, totally.
It's there for us.
Totally.
Was.
You know, the
Yeah.
other sacred site place that I have to say, you know, is absolutely encoded and still has such a living legacy of this is modern day Glastonbury, which is Avalon, right? But if you go there, there's literally an unbroken lineage of priest and priestess energy that's been holding that land forever. And you feel it. You feel how alive the land is with the codes, with the knowledge and the gnosis of all that's been coded there by all the beings who have been awakened to that holy space. So absolutely.
Yeah.
I just love that in Glastonbury, Avalon, there's such a connection to the Avalonian lineages. They have a Magdalene chapel, and they honor is it Saint Michael, that is the descendant and the heir of Yeshua and Magdalene. It's like a portal that remembers the truth and
Totally.
speaks openly about it and
Yeah.
hasn't been
Yeah.
suppressed and distorted.
And it's also very much connected to the Fae and the She.
Mhm.
And I talk a lot about this in my book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, and in my training, that Mary is, well, Mother Mary has become one with Gaia Sophia, actually. Her ascension was about her going into the earth instead of disappearing from the earth. And the reason why in the medieval times, almost every known flower had a Mary name,
Mhm.
is because of that unconscious or hidden esoteric understanding that Mother Mary is the little lady that Bernadette Soubirous saw, in France, at Lourdes. And, it's so these Marys are connected in with the Fae, with the She, with the early royalty, with King Arthur, with Guinevere. Like, it's all one thing. Once we start connecting, that goes all the way back to the Pleiades, and other star systems. So it's like we're starting to put the lines together to help us understand why we've been so fascinated by all these many things that seem like disparate issues, but really have one connective thread. And so as we understand that connectivity, then we awaken within ourselves to the knowledge, the gnosis, and then the love vibration, which is what it's all about, as you're saying, Elaine.
I'm absolutely delighted with this conversation. And a lot of people on Facebook and YouTube are commenting as well. In a moment, I'd like to have Eden share one of her songs, a musical number, but we've kind of morphed into the Q&A, so I do have a question for all of you. And it kind of, my memory was triggered when we were some of what you were just sharing. Many, many years ago, I was working on a television show called Strange Universe, and we hosted a big conference down in the Yucatan called the Prophets Conference. And it was a big deal. People from all over the world, the top leading prophets came in. And and I was there, I was the head producer interviewing everyone. And the person I was most impressed with was one of the lesser known people, a woman named Annie Kirkwood. I don't know if you've come across her. She wrote a book 20 years ago called Mother's Message for the World. And her story is she's a Jewish gal. Mother Mary shows up in her apartment in New York, totally physical, and says, I want you to write a book. And Annie says, why me? I'm not Catholic. And Mary says, don't worry, dear, neither am I. And so began the relationship.
Exactly.
And Mary showed her a future in which there would be many different Earths evolving, many different Earths going off. And Annie saw herself on one Earth, and she saw her sister on a different Earth. And so I'm curious if that, now that we, living in the awareness of multidimensional reality, quantum physics, Marvel Cinematic Universe, making every movie about it, has there, in your teachings, in your studies, has there been anything along those lines that you've come across where either of the Marys or any of the lineages you've been in talk about the multidimensional nature of reality and different Earths splitting off?
I can say something.
Go, Eden.
Okay, well, for me, it's about frequency and vibration. And in the mystery school training that I've been deeply involved in, we're we're engaging in alchemy, which is simply the raising of frequency, the raising of vibration. And if you're living in a very dense, low vibration, the earth you're experiencing, it's like as viewed, so appears. So you're looking through a lens of fear, shame, hatred, judgment, and you're living in a virtual hell realm. And that is a dense earth timeline. It's very metaphysical. So as we raise our frequency through loving our shadow as our light, through holding ourselves through the alchemy and ascending in our heart's love and presence, we start to see through eyes of compassion, presence, non-judgment. We are seeing and recognizing beauty. We're presencing beauty. I've been contemplating what is Edenic consciousness. That's something Richard Rudd speaks about. For me, it's synonymous with Buddhic wisdom and unity consciousness, Christ consciousness. It's a frequency bandwidth where you literally see heaven on earth. You see beauty. Even if you're sitting with a being, let's say we're priestessing with someone who's in a lot of pain and they're experiencing a suffering hell realm, your very seeing of them, your compassion and your love can shift their frequency. They can ascend into a higher frequency through your presence, through your love. So this is how I hold the multidimensionality. It's like, what bandwidth are you vibrating at? Where are you resonating?
Beautiful.
Tick.
Marguerite, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I see it in the Gospel of Philip. There's this absolutely fascinating teaching that says, Jesus took them all by stealth. To the small, he appeared small. To the great, he appeared great. To the angels, he appeared as an angel. To men, he appeared as a man, and etc. Okay, so this could be for anyone, Magdalene, for Mary, and so forth. So basically, this is showing us that you can see a different aspect, or if you want to call it timeline, of even our masters and so forth, based on what vibration we are at, which is what Eden is mentioning. So that's why it's important that we upgrade our understanding of these masters and who they are, because as we upgrade that and see, oh my goodness, they were actually this, oh they were actually this, oh they were actually this, then we raise ourselves up to that angelic, right, or that anthropos level. And so that's one way, I think, Scott, in which these multiple timelines appear. And it's not like people are going off to a separate earth. Actually, we're all here at the same time, which is the issue, like what people witness today. Well, we're all here together in one fishbowl. And and the other thing is, I've received from the Marys directly that there are different variations of timelines of what happened to them, like before, during, and after the crucifixion and resurrection. And that it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, that like Mary Magdalene went to France and she went to India,
Exactly.
because it can be, first of all, she was shape-shifting and she was multidimensionally appearing to people as Jesus was. He could bilocate, trilocate, they had that ability. So there's that sense in which these timelines are fluid, right? It's not just one linear history from beginning to end, but there are multiple things that have been going on. So I think on my end, that maybe addresses some of what you're talking about, bringing forth.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very
I do
wonderful.
want to say one more thing about this kind of like splitting of the earth. And this is a little edgy. I'm just going to speak from my heart. I think it's very important for those of us who are on a sincere path of awakening to hold our brothers and sisters who we don't agree with, who we don't understand, who we think are less than loving, to still hold them in our compassion. And the tendency to want to split and divide is the very force that we're kind of trying to like fight against. And every time there's a fight against anything, we create more division and more of the thing we're fighting against. So this idea of we're going to leave those evil suckers behind. It's just more of the same consciousness. I remember even back in the Me Too movement when the women were marching and they had a big sign with Wonder Woman ripped like a bodybuilder punching Trump in the face. And there was something in me that went, this is the same energy. It's a mirror of the same violence. It's the same patriarchal, I'll be tougher, badder, stronger than the man and kick his ass. And I just want to say that on the path of love, in the way of love, in the divine feminine, it is the embrace. Just like Marguerite said, we're all here together. Mother loves all her children. Some of them are suffering and lost, and they've forgotten who they truly are. And the greatest work you can do is the core of Yeshua's teaching, which is forgiving. It's not making it okay. It's literally releasing it from your own heart as that thorn and seeing them still in their humanity and their divinity. That is the power of love. And it is the only miracle that will pull us through these dark times. That's what we need.
Beloved Eden, I acknowledge the bodhisattva within you. Because that is the bodhisattva pledge to not ascend until everybody comes with it. It's a profound pledge and a profound devotion.
God, can I just say one thing I want to say, which is just to weave all this together, is from the question that someone had earlier on around what is a mystery school. A mystery school is a space where we get to learn these sacred technologies that give us the way to be able to actually raise vibration. Yeah. That is what a mystery school teaches. And that's very practical. On some levels, it's very practical. It's about a set of practices that, when practiced with devotion on a daily level in your life, shift the frequency within which you are living, and then shift the world that you're living in, because we are not separate. There is only one of us here. And so that, when we talk about these different lineages of mystery schools, we're all pointing toward the same thing, which is we as human beings have the capacity, this awesome capacity to shift frequency. We are vibrational frequency and living in a vibrational universe. And so everything is vibrational by nature. And when we understand that, we can start to work consciously as alchemists who take the denser energies and transmute it through love, through the presence of that love, to a higher frequency that we are then living within, which becomes an expanded dimension of many of those different worlds at different dimensions, whether it's 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, whatever, that you're living in, but we're all here living in it together. We're just living in different versions of this one world. And that's what, when we say birthing the new world, that's what we mean, is if enough of us are able to move up the frequency scale to actually birth a new version of Earth, then the other version of Earth will cease to become the dominant one that's in charge. And that is why most of us are here, midwifing that. If you're here, that's why I'm assuming that you're here.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yes, thank you.
There are at least half dozen people have said, thank you, Eden, really appreciating. And then Dr. Laura adds, yes, Eden, you're so correct. We can see the world as divine already and see all humans as the Christ consciousness that is the birthright. Exactly.
The Christed ones within us.
And with that, I think it's a good time for Eden, because it's time for a little music to move and groove.
Yay, we've been talking.
And Eden's going to share one of her new songs.
Woohoo!
Yes, this one is definitely for the divine feminine rising to take her place alongside the divine masculine. Here she rises.
Remember to set me on
Eden,
the way.
original sound.
Oh, there's no sound? Okay.
No,
No,
original sound.
original sound.
Okay, hold on. I got to go all the way back. Sorry.
Yeah. It's all good. Start it again, love.
She asks us to remember to step beyond the veil. She asks us to surrender, drink deeply from the well. She rises from the darkness to break an ancient spell. She hands us our hearts like new stories to tell. She rises, she rises, she rises, she rises. She rises in you. She rises in me. She rises like the sun, and she rises like the sea. A phoenix from the ashes. She rises from the flames, breaks us from our bondage, and frees us from our shame. She rises, she rises, she rises, she rises. She rises, she rises, she rises, she rises. Untethered and free, untethered and free. Untethered and free, we rise as her wings. Untethered and free, untethered and free, untethered and free, we rise as her wings. We rise as her wings. She rises, she rises, she rises, she rises, she
Wow. Oh, wow. Let's all go to gallery view and give her a big twinkle. Such a great song. While you catch your breath, Eden, I'll put the spotlight on you, but I'm going to read some of the comments that have come in. Scotty Satori and Tim both said, "Oh, wow, wowza." Marguerite writes, "This needs a Grammy." Kath writes, "This is so good. This is my new favorite song."
Oh,
Shoshana writes, "I can feel her presence and palpable light pouring through your beautiful song. Gorgeous." Dr. Laura also says, "My favorite song of yours, Eden."
oh,
Oh.
thank you.
And I remind everybody that you can find all things Eden Amadora on her website. And it's easy to remember the name of her website because it's her name, Eden Amadora, edenamadora.com. And you can learn all about the work that she does. And you know what's really fun for
Take
our
the quiz.
take the quiz, take the Goddess Archetype quiz. It's really, really, really fun. And
Yay.
you can learn, Eden has had a fascinating life. And you know, kind of along those lines, before we go back to our roundtable, you haven't had a chance to kind of share about your journey, Eden, of embodying the divine feminine. So if you've caught your breath enough after singing and dancing, I'd love for you to share a little bit, kind of what you were sharing with me last night when we had a conversation on the phone. And I think it would be really relevant for tonight's show.
Yeah, I think that my journey, I started off very open, very like a little bright light in the garden when I was small. And I had this feeling I came from the sun. I was named Sunshine in the garden, and I felt very connected to the divine. It wasn't masculine or feminine. It was just like the light. I was just part of that energy. And I remembered until my life became very swept up in the glamour world. I know that many of you have heard my story. I got scouted to model really young. I was standing in rooms full of strangers in lingerie at 15. I wasn't very protected by the predators of the dark side of the glamour world. It was a real initiation in trusting my voice, and through my voice I avoided some pretty scary stuff as a young teen, alone in New York City modeling at 15, being picked up in limos, taken to like opening premieres, sat next to producers, directors, things like this that you read about now. They really happened. I was right in the middle of that kind of world, and thinking that, oh, it's like the Disney princess imprinting so many of us had, where if I find my prince, I will live happily ever after, finding myself then plummeting into even more darkness in Milan. I won't do a whole autobiography. I'll just say that by my Saturn return, I had lost that connection to the divine from all of the pain and the PTSD that I had experienced. I ended up getting a record deal based on the intensity of the breakup of my marriage with a playboy that became a drug addict. And it was when I was recording my first album that I found myself in what in another culture might have been perceived as a spiritual awakening or a Kundalini awakening, and what our culture sees as you're simply blooming mad and you need to be locked in a mental hospital. So that happened to me at 28 years old. And I would say it was a soul initiation into trusting that I wasn't crazy, and that the fire in my heart was actually being lit to come back in to my remembrance of the divine. So through that 4-day ordeal, I actually had a lot of gifts that were given to me through the veil. Gifts of remembrance, gifts of awakening, gifts of what some people might call cities, or being able to feel energy, being able to see beyond the veil, being able to hear beyond the veil. So this was the beginning of my mystical awakening that took me first through yoga and then shamanic studies. And it wasn't until I met Elaine Kalila that I found my heart at home in the divine feminine mysteries that gave me the training and the tools to actually trust my gifts, to trust my voice at the next level of being a sound adept, being able to use my voice to assist others, to sing soul songs, to channel direct transmission through the mystery school training, I learned how to step into loving service to others. And my life went from one that was based on, wow, you're beautiful, the system really wants to objectify you and use you and make a lot of money off of you, to no, I'm here for something much, much different in this lifetime. So I am here in devoted service to the collective awakening, the awakening at the heart of humanity, and I am overjoyed to be joining together again with my beloved sister Elaine. And Scott, can you bring Elaine back on and pull up her site? Because we talked to her and we never actually showed her amazing offering that I am part of.
This is true.
Really want to amplify. And
hello, everybody.
hello, Kalila, welcome back. So I'm so excited because this year I took my first year off of holding Divine Feminine Mystery School Priestess Training Circles to work on an album and a book. And I was talking to Kalila and I said, you know, the part that I really don't love is the launching and marketing and, hey, everybody, I'm doing another circle. And she says, well, why don't we join together and you can step into the priestess presence and hold my ruby circle this year? She said, I trust you. You are the only person I would trust with this advanced circle. How do you feel about joining forces and forces of love and coming together? So thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be a part of the Priestess Presence Mystery School of Enter the Mystery. And I do want to say one thing more about my experience of my first group call with you in the Greater Mystery School. So Kalila has cultivated this incredible community of sisterhood where the women, they don't come through just once. They come through and they grow and they become apprentices. And then they teach their own specialty courses. And I felt like I was in a Hogwarts for priestesses with Kalila. So yeah, it's just so beautiful what you've built and the depth and the amazing, gorgeous offerings.
So what we're offering, just to be super clear, is we're both of the mystery schools are actually enrolling for next year, for 2026. And one is the Magdalene Mystery School, where we focus on the anointing oils and on the stories of the Magdalene, the scripture of the Magdalene, as well as the ancient lineages of the sent priestesses, which go through every culture. And then the other, which is what Eden's talking about, is the 13 Moon Mystery School, which is both where Eden and I are both ordained priestesses and focalizers and lineage bearers of that work. And that's the work that originated with Ariel Spilsbury, our fairy goddess mother, who initiated both of us. And we run a year-long priestess initiate training where there are 3 ways in. You can come in through the ruby circle with Eden, through the sapphire circle with another sister, 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒 Alegria, or you can come through ritual, which is also being focalized by 𝐓𝐶 Alegria. I'm not being one of the main teachers this year in the first year. I am actually teaching in the deeper dive second year plus programs where the in-person initiations happen. But this is an incredible opportunity to come through the 13 faces of the divine feminine, where you get to deepen with each one of them as an archetypal embodiment who carries incredible medicine. We were talking about how every mystery school works with medicine. Well, we work with the medicine of direct encounter with the frequency of these 13 different faces of the divine feminine that are here to initiate and awaken us into the clearing of our shadow material so that we can become that body of light in full remembrance of our soul codes. We like to say that we're in the business of blooming lotuses. Totally. That's what we're up to. That's what the mystery school is really about. And what I just wanted to say, Eden, is that I'm so blessed that you are stepping in this year. And part of the reason Eden is stepping in this year and I'm stepping back slightly is because I've been through quite a journey in the last 2 or 3 years with my health, and I'm fine in this moment, but Goddess has told me to slow down and to take some time and to open up to allowing other people to step into divine feminine leadership, and it doesn't all have to be on me. So that is a great gift, and I want to bow to you, Eden, for saying such a clear yes to that. And this is one of the most extraordinary bodies of work. I want to just say this to you all, because what it really, really gifts you with is a direct experience. And we've been speaking about this, right? This is not a logical, rational studying
Academic,
mind,
yeah.
right? This is a direct experience of archetypal consciousness. We are sitting in temple space, we are sitting in sacred space, and we are working with the sacred technologies of empty presence, of feeling navigation. There's lots more that we could talk about. And you're learning about these ancient sacred practices and be bringing them into your everyday life and seeing your own life as the initiatory portal that it is. So it is a catalyzing journey of death and rebirth. That's what it is.
Not for the faint of heart, I
Not
always
for the faint
say.
of heart.
Yeah. It's for
Yeah.
those, it's for the flame-hearted rather than the
Faint-hearted,
faint.
exactly.
Like Desiree's image, the flame-hearted ones who are ready to burn awake. And as Janine is asking, even after all that we've been sharing, what does a priestess do? I would say, Janine, to feel into your remembrance of things you've heard tonight that have like, oh, like, what is this way of love, this lamp lifting, this way showing, this holding the mirror? There's so many ways to describe what a priestess does. And how unusual is it that it's not a common everyday household word, that priest is, but priestess isn't? And we are remedying that balance again. And we are breaking the programming that would make that woo, right? It's like the priestess is the emissary and the embodiment of divine love on earth. And she or he, as a priest that is awakening to the divine feminine within, as well as the divine masculine, would say that you don't actually need us as your intermediary to the divine. We're here to remind you it's within you. And that's a difference between the patriarchal church priest and a priestess or a priest that's more in the harmonic of this lineage of love, of the mystery school path, that is here to empower you to remember who you really are. So all of the mystery school trainings are here to do that. And should you step in, read the page, read, Scott, if you can put the link in the chat again, read the page that 𝐶𝐒 has so beautifully created for you to feel the frequency. Because if anything, we're here to empower you to remember your intuition, to remember that you are a feeling body navigator and you are your own inner authority, because then no matter what's happening on our screens and our little screens and all the deep fakes and all the AI and all the what other people are telling you is real, when you remember your true gnosis and your intuition, you are free. You are your own authority. And there's nothing more powerful than that, to live as a sovereign being that is here to be in service to the whole, right?
So the last thing I'll say, just as a little added piece to this, is actually our early bird pricing is ending tonight. However, if you are interested and called, all you need to do is let me know on your application that you heard about it through this show, and I will honor that early bird registration pricing through the next week. So just so you know, I want to make that available to you, because I realize on the timing of the show and the timing of other pieces. So just so you know, if you are curious, don't worry about that. I will honor the early bird.
That's very generous. Very
A few important things. So I'm going to go to the page one more time, and it's a long URL. So for all of our friends watching on Facebook or YouTube, you might want to make a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
discover.priestesspresence.com/ETM-Sapphire. And then even after you do that, you got to scroll for a while down to find this. So Again, for those of you who are watching on Facebook or YouTube and don't have access to our Zoom room, take a screenshot. Definitely, this is how you can come on in. And how do people reach you then to say, hey, I saw this on the Awakening World?
So you can email me directly at support@priestesspresence.com and just say Awakening World in the subject line, and I will tend to you that way.
Okay. There are a few important questions. Dr. Laura is asking, do you have to be stunningly gorgeous with beautiful, lush, long hair in order to be a priestess with you?
I think we have to bring Marguerite on for this because she's included in this.
Definitely. No.
Definitely
So
not.
cute.
Although Scott, you also have beautiful long hair.
And Scott's a veritable priest and wizard in his own
Totally.
right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I actually have seen people change physically though. I know it's a nice joke. And there's women that come into the mystery school training really burnt out. There's women who've been trying to do it like a man in the system, and they're suffering adrenal fatigue. They've lost their feeling of being in their body, sensual. They don't have connection to their intuition, and they're not feeling radiant. They're not feeling attractive, and they come in and they shed layers of belief systems, layers of programming, fear, and conditioning. And they change. Their faces change. Their posture changes. I cannot guarantee you're going to get long, thick hair, but you will see a different sparkle in your eyes and a radiance when your heart cracks open to love. You will change. Definitely.
Yeah, Greta Bro, who is a beautiful priestess teacher and therapist from the Boston area. She's the first person I heard about, the word goddess from years ago. She said, when people find the sacred feminine, they become really sexy. And I was like, wow, so I just went out and bought a pair of black jeans, tight black jeans. And that was my way of, it really is true what you're saying. I mean, there can be all sorts of transformations.
Totally.
It's the inner radiance.
Totally.
It's the inner radiance that you connect with when you connect with the priestess energy.
We joke about the youth serum. It's the youth serum. See, not to sell it onto the beauty, but there is a truth. There is a truth to it in the sense of like when we have a retreat and people come out the other side. I always say I should take a before and after photo. I never do because I always forget, but but I should because it's incredible to see that radiance and that shift. So
I'd like to read a couple comments, and then there's a question for all three of you that kind of comes from this. First off, Connie writes, these three women are coming from a very high frequency, and then appreciation for having you on the show tonight. And then there's a beautiful, vulnerable comment from Ayada. This evening is truly restoring my soul, my faith in humanity and our world. I've been feeling overwhelmed all year by the looming presence of the primitive male expression that tends to dominate, currently playing out politically both in the United States and worldwide. Even though I have lived most of my adult life in touch with the divine feminine, as the mother of a large family, it's been harder to stay connected to that. And that leads to the question for all three of you. And I kind of asked before, but I'd love, what are your tools, each of you, your tools for coming back into alignment, coming back into that centered heart space, especially when confronted either with personal challenges or with what's going on in the external world?
Yeah.
Marguerite, how about you first?
My tool number one is that I personally do not look at the media. And I do not consider this putting my head in the sand because my focus is elsewhere. I am in service as is Eden, as is Elaine, as is Scott, and so many of you here. So I don't need that as a spur to help me with my work. I know that there's all sorts of realities going on in all sorts of levels, So I don't go there because I don't need to get myself agitated, every day. But for me, it's daily meditation,
Mm.
And prayer with the Marys, asking them, having them hold me in the middle of the night when I have anxiety like anybody else, um, and doing what I can to feel my connection with infinite source, be it through meditation, be it through being out in nature, be it through the occasional wise use of a plant medicine, something as mild but powerful as cacao to help me get in my heart, to other things. So these are some of my go-tos, and I have many free guided meditations. I know that Scott put that up, meditations that are associated with my book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, that you can sign up for, that are designed to help you get right into that calm, clear, centered space where you can feel more and more of your connection with Source Creator. I don't think we need to dismantle cartels. I think what we need to do is show people, why would you want to be using that particular medicine, that drug? Because you're wanting your connection with Source Creator. Let's look at that. Let's look at that eternal presence practice that, Elaine and Eden have. Let's get in that space. Let's cultivate our Lemurian knowing, our connection with infinite source. We will not need heroin. We will not need this. We will not need to be fighting these people in whatever country.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. I can jump in and say, for me, my darlings, one of my go-tos is humor. I just, I was born British. I shall always be British at heart. And part of that is that I was born with a tremendous funny bone in my body, thank God. And I find the absurd, I just have to laugh at the synchronicities, at the great cosmic game of it all, at the absurdity of it, not to dehumanize us, but to bring us back into our humanity, to remember that we're all in this together and that every single one of us is here playing the perfect part that we came here to play on some level of the game, even if I can't see it in the moment, right? And so there's this place of humor, humility, humanness, human kindness that comes from my experience of life and being a living, walking example of what it means to be fallible, and sometimes so way off the mark and other times so on the mark. And I just think if we can cultivate that seeing of ourselves through those eyes of compassion, kindness, humility, and humor, then we start to touch into what it means to be that true human that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were talking about, which is the anthropos, the true human that has remembered who they are in all of it and hasn't left one for the other, but has done this marriage of both. So for me, that's my practice every day, is that.
Love both of your shares. I would say for me, it is daily prayer. I start my day with a prayer. I'm almost feeling to speak it out loud, to share it with you because it's so simple and universal. But before I do that, I'll say that nature is key to getting me back to presence, breath, feet on the earth, nature. There's a particular oak in my neighborhood. I live in a valley full of nature. I'm very, very blessed. And I walk to this oak and I open my heart to it and I entrain to its aura and I feel grounded. I ground with it and I breathe with it. And I know it's probably my imagination. I'm just observing it more and more. All of a sudden, I noticed it had these little bright pink um, chips, like chocolate chips, all over its leaves. And I was like, did it have that yesterday? Is it doing this because I love it so much? What's happening? So it was amazing to witness it and presence the beauty of it and feel gifted by the pink little chips. And the prayer I do in the morning that is so simple that I would like to invite you to do is to wake up and put your hand on your heart and to tell yourself, good morning, I love you. Good morning, I love you. I wonder what miraculous and unexpected things are going to happen today. And it activates that reticular activation system that you are then looking through the eyes of that perception of the miracles and the beauty, and open to it, receptive to it. And then I have a much longer prayer I go into. I've been doing it for 30 years. It's a combination of prayers I was given on my spiritual journey and my own kind of fun way of weaving it together. I really believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of our own voices. I sing myself awake. Sometimes it's as simple as humming. If I feel my heart is shut down, I can put my hands of light on my heart and just hum to myself and breathe and let the vibration of my voice start to soothe my nervous system and my vagus nerve. We're living in a very intense time where we're bombarded by a lot of information. Marguerite, you are a warrior of light that has Jedi powers to avoid the media at all costs. I am not so powerful with that choice. Sometimes I do get influenced, and I am aware how many of us are overstimulated because of all the information overload. So what I do to come back is I get away from the phone. We don't have to become cyborgs in this timeline. We're going to leave the phone over there. I shut off the Wi-Fi at night. I don't have my phone near my bed, and just come back to the breath and the heart.
Mhm. Thank you, ladies, for those beautiful tools. And it's a good way for us to complete this part of the evening. I do want to remind everybody about a few things. Marguerite, we did have her on the show before, where she talked about her beautiful book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. And she offers a very wonderful free gift. So again, I've put this into the chat box, but this is the link. If you go to sevensistersmysteryschool.com, you can find it. And that's where you can access some beautiful, powerful guided meditations led by Marguerite. So that's a beautiful gift. Thank you so much, Marguerite.
Thanks for putting that on there.
Absolutely. Thank you for providing that. And again, one more time, strongly encourage. You want to really embrace your priestess. You want to really learn about a mystery school. Join this program, and of course, the Ruby Circle, the one in the middle, is the one that will be taught by our beloved Eden. Strongly suggest you check it out. If you want more information about it, again, here's the link for those of you on Facebook and YouTube. Take a snapshot or write to Elaine. And of course, for the rest of you, and there's a room link, I'll put the links in the chat box. Marguerite, I look forward to creating with you and Eden a show on the Pleiades. That's going to be really
Do
fun.
it.
Yay.
Absolutely. I will be texting you and we'll schedule that.
So much coming forth about that.
Yeah.
Yay. Exciting.
And Kalila, Elaine, it's been so wonderful getting to know you. I've had the opportunity for you to be on a few times recently. And of course, our beloved Andrew. What's the latest with Andrew?
The latest with Andrew, he just texted me, I don't know, 2 days ago. He was leaving France. He'd just been leading a Mary Magdalene trip to France, and he's gone back off to Kashmir, and then he's going back to Australia. And so he and I have a conversation booked for this coming week. So I'll know more from our traveling nomadic madman out there in the world. But he's doing well. He's doing well. And he was very, very inspired. And he and I are deep in cohorts around creating a mystery school together. And so more to come on that later.
Wow, another mystery school. Wow.
Another mystery school is coming into fruition, but we'll see what exactly that wants to look like. But yes, he in his passionate way has been courting me around it. So we'll see what happens.
You are one of the rare people who has a level of passion that can match him.
Yeah.
Well, we're like we were like long lost brother and sister when we finally met. We're like, oh my God, you were a piece in a pod.
You're like twin flames. When you were fired up tonight, I was like, it's the spirit of Andrew with you. You're like so similar.
I know. I didn't know whether to say she's channeling Andrew, or now I know that Andrew's been channeling you.
We both say we've been channeling the Magdalene. That's what it's been all this time. We just didn't realize.
Yeah.
The passion. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. All right, I'm going to give Eden a chance to take a little break. We're going to have our prayer time. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much,
Thank
Marguerite.
you. I will say good night.
Yeah, go to bed. You're on the East
Thanks.
Coast, darling.
Yes, I'm on the East Coast, everyone, and not feeling all that well. But
No,
it's been
well,
a
feel
joy
better,
to be
sweetheart.
here.
Bye,
Thank you.
love.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having me,
Marguerite.
and blessings to everyone who's been with us tonight. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Sweet
Bye.
dreams.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
darling.
Thank
Bye.
you, Marguerite. Thank you so much. All right, well, I'm going to kind of turn this over to our secret prayer time. And for that, and that'll give Eden a chance to take a break before she comes back and does another song with us. And so it's my pleasure to turn it over to the two Ds, Tiara and Desiree. Where are you? There she is. You both have such beautiful backgrounds today. Take it away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our fire and water ceremony, embodying all the wisdom that's been deposited here, been gifted to us. And just like love is that fire in our hearts and the cooling waters, holding the essence of the Marys, we just bathe ourselves in this highest frequency, allowing ourselves to rise even more in this container now. And just breathing in everything that's here from the divine, and breathing up everything here from Mother Earth, the divine Mother Earth. We send out prayers now beyond our tribe. We send out prayers within our tribe. We bless Scott. We support him in whatever transitions are occurring. We bless each other for the love that we bring, for the burdens that we share, for the dark and the light that we've learned to embrace. In these powerful times, it does take great courage to keep hearts open and minds clear, to witness without worry, to believe with action. And we are able to hold it all and give to others and lift them just as we have been lifted, and lift each other. And with our hearts full, we send this prayer out through our hearts, through that beautiful flame. And we bring those cooling waters down, dispersing this beautiful love, this beautiful light. And we pray for everlasting peace. We pray for everlasting love and everlasting glory of the divine as we come together as one.
Oshakapaki Sadakare Takarasi the Gorasi the Garete Takarate Takarasi Rore Tirate Aratira to go to Takarata Grodu Takarasi to Goraseda Casera. Ashigraba Kidera Tiro, Siri, Tigre, Siri, Tigrati, Tigratu, Takarata, Takare, Takarata. Ashigrabaki, Tigratu, Shiragari, Siragura, Shirakarati, Takarati, Tugrosi, Takaratagi, Tigratagi, the road, that's.
Thanking all those here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiara. Thank you, Desiree. You two are just such precious part of our show and our program and our Global Peace Tribe. Thank you. Some of you may have already heard, and some of you may have seen some of the references to it. My life took an interesting turn yesterday. As all of you know, or most of you know, I recently moved to Grass Valley, and I've been living on this beautiful property with my good friend Lucky. Lucky and I've been friends for decades. And yesterday morning, I found Lucky had passed away in his bathtub. He was actually in almost fetal position. Whatever happened, I think it happened quickly. And my sense is that he's dancing in the light, dancing in the heavens. But I would like to just take a moment to acknowledge my beautiful, beloved brother who I'm going to miss very much. I already miss him a lot. it's been a sad day, to be honest. I'm happy for Lucky, and I'm sad for myself. And so let's just all take a moment to, and he was a great guy. Everybody who knew Lucky loved Lucky. He was that kind of a guy. So sending maximum grace to you, beloved Lucky, on your adventure. Lucky watched all of our shows, by the way. It was interesting because Wednesday night's show, there was all this talk about near-death experiences, and he literally said, Scott, you've got to buy the books that they were talking about. That was on Wednesday night, and he died on Thursday. So, on Thursday night, probably. So, maximum grace to you, beloved brother Lucky. Maximum grace. Thank you, everybody. Ah, what a beautiful, beautiful show. And we are going to close with a second song from Eden. Oh, before I do that, I should do a couple of quick Global Peace Tribe announcements, because we do have two really wonderful shows that are going to be coming up. On this Wednesday night, definitely come into the Zoom room, because these two amazing doctors are going to be doing on-the-spot kind of medical, functional medical support for Zoom room members. They're both wonderful. Of course, you've seen Dr. Tara on the show before. And the theme is From Illness to Illumination, where medicine meets miracles. And so for those of you who would like to get some support for alternative ways to manage what your body temple might be dealing with, definitely make sure you join us live on Wednesday night. And then our beloved Reverend Jeffrey has done it again. He has brought together a really fascinating group of friends to be on the show next Saturday night, a week from tonight. Many of you know the farm. It was one of the great intentional communities, and we're going to be meeting the founders of the farm and kind of learning what happened back then, what are they doing now. Also, the president of the farm, James Moore, will be joining us, and Reverend Jeffrey, of course, will be kind of introducing his friends. And so, again, it's going to be like tonight. It's going to be a very conversational deep dive of what have they learned about creating intentional community. And so that's going to be next Saturday night. So hope you'll join us for both of those shows. And of course, Omashar will be making up for the fact that we only had one Omashar song tonight. So we'll have 3 Omashar songs, both on Wednesday and on Saturday night.
Scott, will we be having a Sacred Sunday show, potentially?
Yes, we are having a Sacred Sunday show, and I haven't made a poster for it yet.
I just thought about it.
You are the best. So a week from tomorrow, we are having a Sacred Sunday show, which will be the final show that Omashar is on for a few weeks because he's off to England to visit his mom. So 11 a.m. Pacific time, Sunday, October 26th. Please put it in your calendar. I'll be at the Enlightenment Expo in Reno with Tangela and the Soul Searchers, and I'll be coming to you live from that show. So thank you. Oh, Michelle, what am I going to do without you for 3 weeks? You're gonna have to come in and like be my support person, because without you, I feel these things.
No, man, it's all good. We are all in the flow. We're all holding each other and loving each other. And at this moment, we are holding you, brother. On behalf of Lucky, he is asking us to hold you, because I know what it is being left behind. And I've been sad, not on your behalf, but I've been feeling it. And so, yeah, love you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And while we've got Omashar Spotlit, isn't that the most beautiful poster that he's got behind him?
6 goddesses looking out on the new world as only the divine feminine can bring it into form. So there it is.
Yeah, and I think one of those goddesses is Eden Amadora. As
it is.
Yeah.
Omishar, there's some divine synchronicity at play because the song I'd been planning to play is also called Beloved, and that was your opening song. And I just loved your song so much. I wish you could take us out at the end with one of your originals. And I don't
No,
know.
this is the honoring of the beloved Eden, and
Okay,
I wanted it to be that way. So, and
thank
so,
you.
thank you.
So the story behind the song before I start it for us all is it's actually the deepest, deepest prayer as I was tuning into more and more of this wild race to make AI everywhere and people thinking we need chips in our brains and this sci-fi future timeline. I wrote a song in response to that, and it's about what makes us human. It's like at one point the song will sing, blood, breath, bone, I am home in your arms. And another line, nothing can replace the heat of you. I feel you feel me too. That's empathy, our humanity, our shared humanity. Nothing can take that away. And it's precious. So this song was inspired both as a response to that wild reality movie that many are racing towards, and it's inspired by the prayer in my heart to be met by a divine beloved in form. And as I am awakening, I'm recognizing that the divine beloved is already within me, and that whoever I choose to be in that divine dance with physically would be a reflection of where I am in that. So may the song bless your union, divine union journey in honoring of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, that it always takes two. That is the key to life. All right, so my sound is on. Let's see how this goes. Beloved.
Spiraling into the center of the soul song I remember, standing on the earth here together, with calm to learn, to love and surrender. Nothing can replace the heat of you. Nothing can replace the heat of you.
Isn't that amazing timing that both Omashar's opening song and her closing song have the same title, Beloved? And there it is. We're all here to see the beloved in each other and in ourselves. And Eden, it's always such a joy to collaborate with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so, so grateful for you, Scott. And I'm just holding you in my heart and my prayers and embracing you through this grief. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you.
Love you too. Love our wonderful Global Peace Tribe. This was a wonderful show. Just wonderful. And everybody, you know, take the recording, share it with friends. You know, there's so much wisdom shared in this call, and very inspiring. So thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Eden. Thank you, Omashar.
So welcome. Thank you,
Beloved
Elaine,
brother.
Kalila. Thank you.
Elaine, Kalila, she's still with us. Yay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you, beautiful Global Peace Tribe. Thank you, Diara and Desiree. What you do. And go to gallery review one last time. Good night, everybody. Have a beautiful, sacred Sunday tomorrow.